in terms of customer expectations in today's world, it's been changing drastically compared to where we were a couple of years back. And the entire brand experience has started to become more and more important, because you look at so many brands out there. You look at men's shaving companies, you look at apparel companies, you look at footwear companies. All of them have started to focus a lot on the whole brand experience, and that's really what a lot of these other kind of pedal exercisers or under desk exercisers were lacking. So I think we really saw an opportunity over there that there is something that is clunky and looks old and looks kind of archaic, and how do you take that and kind of bring it up to today's day and age? Because a lot of these products that you're referencing, they've been around for decades. And you're right, it does require thinking a little out of the box, thinking about what today's customer wants, and then designing a product around their expectations. So we focused really on the brand experience, which is something that none of these other kind of companies out there had focused on previously.
Just adding to that, I mean, we've already kind of touched deeply on the pain point of time. But the second biggest pain point, it kind of goes hand in hand with time, with fitness, is motivation, or the lack thereof. It's just, people get bored very easily. The same thing. How many times, and I've heard of tons of customers that say, we bought a treadmill machine and then it's just our laundry hanger. That's just how it is. And part of that is because of the whole experience. I mean, anybody will tend to use something that feels nice, that feels personal, that has a competitive aspect, that is nice to feel and touch and use. So part of the reasoning was not just to make a product that looks nice. It was really deeply rooted in this pain point of motivation. And how do we really reduce the hurdles, and how do we make people want to use a fitness product and not dread it, or not just be another task they have to check off in a day? So really, I think that's kind of what led us to follow this design-based approach.
So design thinking obviously must have played a role in the product design, because the product design is so smart. For example, the handle on the top of the product and making it portable. It seems like such a great addition to the product. Can you talk a little bit about how you approached the product design and created a product that was able to meet so many different needs of a modern consumer?
Sure, I can answer that. So initially, when we designed the Cubie, we wanted to make it specifically for the workplace. And starting conversations with our early adopters, really at the design stage, what we had realized was that Cubie doesn't necessarily have to be used by one person, one employee in the company. We had a lot of use cases in which employees would share their one Cubie amongst many different people. Each person sitting in different cubicles. And that's when we had realized that having some form of a portability feature would really help satisfy that need.
We live in a fast-changing digital world. Dynamic communication and social expression influence just about everything we do. Business is digital. Impact is instant. Brands and customers interact in amazing new ways. From postage stamps to packaging and billboards, HP's Graphic Solutions business is leading these transformations, creating innovative digital print technologies that enable more effective, engaging communication between brands and end users.
So in fact, just a few days back, it was a really funny story. There was this company that reached out directly to us, and they bought 3 Cubies, and they were just like, yeah, I'm bought, the person who reached out, she said, I'm just going to use it with me and 2 more colleagues at our desks, and we're going to then see if we want to buy more for the rest of the company. And a couple of days later, after a QB arrives, she reaches back out and she says, sorry, we need to order 5 more. Some employees stole our QBs and we don't know where in the company they're now being used. They're being used, but we don't really know where they're using it because everybody loved it so much that they kind of stole it and then they're just using it in their cubicle. So that's kind of, there were moments like that helped us then understand that people are using it together, and I think they like to use it together because of that competitive spirit. So most of our customers, they're super competitive. They like to create their own groups for their companies within the app. So each company has its group, so they compete with others within the company, and sometimes they also compete with other companies. So they kind of have this competitive spirit going, which keeps them motivated. So that's really been great, and I think to encourage that, a lot of the effort has been more so on the app side now. That how do we push people more and more? So we have challenges every month where we have, for instance, we had a week-long challenge in honor of the Olympic Games last year, and that was amazing. We had customers together, they burned close to like 10,000 calories just in that span of that 1 week. So I think that's really been exciting for us to be able to see that.
And our customers are our biggest ambassadors as well for the product, which really feels nice. Because not only have they been sharing it to their friends and colleagues in the company, but they've actually been reaching out to their HR departments directly and telling them that, guys, you need to look into this and probably buy some for the company, without us even actively making an effort to tell them to do so. And another thing that we've noticed is, sometimes when we run ads on Facebook, and if somebody has a question, is it going to create noise, or am I going to be able to focus on work while doing this? Even before we can comment, our customers actually jump in and defend ourselves and act as some amazing ambassadors and support us and defend us. So I think that entire experience has just been wonderful, where it's the best feeling you can have, where your customers are really standing up for you. So. Yeah.
And even till date, whenever we have questions about new, small tweaks to the product or new ideas, for instance, adding wheels and things like that, literally the first thing we do is we go to our customers here, at least locally, and they jump at the opportunity and they actually help us test these new products, these new ideas, and they are like our sounding board, till date, and that's actually amazing.
Yeah. So, that's definitely part of design thinking, is the iterations and having this iterative design. So how many versions of the QB has there been?
So sorry. I was saying, before we finally hit the nail on the head with kind of our flagship version, we went through about 5 to 6 rounds of prototyping and testing, because the three of us as founders, just to give you an example, we had small feet, so we developed like small pedals. But kind of going through a round of prototyping and testing, we realized that no, the pedals actually need to be made bigger to accommodate more kinds of feet. So I feel like from the time we first came up with the concept, first prototype was very, very premature. It would not even move. It was a very basic model, just kind of made out of wood. And then we went a step at a time, made some 3D printed models, kind of gave that to customers, got their feedback, understood what they liked about the product, what they did not like about the product. So did a couple of rounds of that. I think in total we had about 5 prototypes, and then finally we hit the nail on the head. And after that, as Ryota mentioned, we decided to come up with this lower cost unit for a slightly different market.
Yeah. And even while the product was live in the market, I think we are constantly going through this process of iteration. It's not like there's a different version of the product, but different tweaks. So for instance, if we start to hear from the customers that they would like, the other day we heard they like more range in the resistance. They don't necessarily like it super hard or super low. They want that the first level is very easy and the 8th one is really hard. So they'll want a wider range. So these are small tweaks that over the last year and a half that the product has been live, we continuously improve, and all that feedback has directly come from our customers.
Yeah, definitely being able to make these changes and really be able to implement them right away is amazing. Did I understand you correctly? You said you're using 3D printing to produce a minimally viable product, or was it just a visual prototype? Was it you were actually testing it?
So we did both. Initially, we just came up with a visual prototype utilizing 3D printing. Once we got the basic form right, then we kind of went to the next step where some parts were 3D printed, and then some internal mechanisms, they were engineered and kind of put together through some off-the-shelf parts to make sure that the product worked as well. So it was a combination of buying some parts from off the shelf and then printing some parts to put together some more functional prototypes.
Okay, so you guys aren't product designers, because this is all,
Correct.
these are all really strong design thinking concepts. Did you have any outside expertise, collaboration that helped you come to these ideas? Because these are very sophisticated design thinking ideas.
So initially we were very frugal, as you would imagine, kind of being recent college graduates starting off this company. And you're right, we did not have much experience with these kinds of methods of working. So what we ended up doing was really immersing ourselves within maker communities here in Chicago, meeting up with people who had gone through the process of building, developing products, making them our mentors and kind of learning from them at every step, even understanding how the 3D printing process worked. And getting involved in those communities to really learn about, what is the iterative process. So that really helped us get to a point where we had a functional prototype. Of course, we couldn't take that as it is and take it into production. So at that point, we were like, at this point now we need some professional help to make sure we were ready for manufacturing. So only at that point, after the concept was kind of fleshed out and we knew what we wanted, then we got some professional designers and engineers involved so they could help us with the final design phase.
Great, and now you're doing this with the software, as you mentioned. A lot of the changes most recently are in the software. So kind of take us on the journey of the software, because the software has come a long way since it first launched.
Yep, so when we had initially launched QB version number 1, the software was very simple. We had a dashboard that allowed for basic tracking of calories, distance, time, and the number of strides. And we had that out in the market for close to 8 months to a year. And over that year, we've heard a lot of feedback from our customers. We've realized that over 40% of our customers are Fitbit users. So that's when we had decided that because there is such a big demand for the Fitbit integration, we had decided to also implement that into our product. And then furthermore, we've noticed that customers enjoy having fun on the app because it really pushes you. And as Shivani had mentioned earlier, being motivated, it's not just about numbers, it's also being able to visually see that you are moving. And that's when we had decided that on the dashboard we'd have this biker that would be riding the bicycle as you pedal.
To add to what Ryota said also, I think going back to even the competitive spirit, I mean, we earlier the app was simple in that you could create your own groups and then compete with others. Then what we did was, to make it even easier, we created some of our own groups. So we created city-based groups and we, asked people to join them, and then you could compete, Chicago could compete against New York, and that's actually been really interesting to see that people are enjoying that. So you're, creating this competitive spirit, and now we have some other ideas for groups to create. And then another feedback was, from people, they they wanted some guidance. Like they wanted, what is a basic workout? What is an advanced workout? Can you create a challenge for me? And then I just go through the steps and complete it, so that I can keep being motivated. So then we introduced this feature called challenges, so that they could just begin a challenge. It's a month-long thing that you complete the steps, and it gives you a certain kind of workout. So all of that is, been happening.
A fitness tracker is a great way to track your exercise, but it's not an enabler exactly. We complement fitness trackers by literally being the enabler in the space. I think for me personally, I grew up in a family where I had seen my parents and grandparents kind of undergo health challenges because they were not moving much. My parents were entrepreneurs as well, so that certainly helped shape my journey of becoming an entrepreneur and definitely inspired me to do so. But at the same time, I did notice that their health was taking a back seat in kind of pursuing that entrepreneurial dream. And in my opinion, kind of always being an athlete most of my life, both of them should not have been mutually exclusive to one another. And I felt there has to be a way where, someone should be able to do their regular work because that's important, but at the same time take care of their health. So that idea was really ingrained in me, and that kind of led me to where I am.
I think for me, honestly, it's been throughout my, childhood as well. I've always, because I grew up in India, I kind of used to go to underprivileged schools to teach. So it's always just been part of growing up, this whole, part of giving back. I used to always spend summers doing that. Similarly, in college, when I took up an internship, I interned with the Clinton Foundation. So again, really seeing, ways to give back. And I think that was a huge exposure as well, to try and see the kind of problems that, organizations here are trying to solve. So I think it's always just been a part of growing up. And
so for me, my work with QB is really a natural extension of my earlier dream of becoming a physician. And I feel like that transition has gone very smoothly. I'm able to affect the lives of thousands, millions of people right now, and that's what drives me every day.
Something is happening. The familiar barcode is touching everything. Every surface, every sound, every image. Imperceptible to you, yet it's clear to sensors like your smartphone. All things have become their own channels. This is the engine driving the Internet of Things. This is Digimarc.
Tell me the story behind your name, FitnessCubed.
Firstly, it is the three of us that kind of got together to start this company. So, and fitness was really the passion that, our common passion that got us together. So FitnessCubed made some natural sense. The other word that we take really close to heart is QB, which is the name of the product. And QB is, a spin-off of the word cubicle. We wanted to kind of add this friendly spin to something that people could relate with. And, typically when you think about the cubicle, it's not a very happy experience. But when you think about QB, it kind of just makes it sound very playful, something you want to engage in. And, that's why we decided to go with that. It's not just an exercise product, it's actually a companion that helps you stay more active, stay more energetic at your desk.
And QB really resonates with people. They tend to remember it. Was it the first name that you had for the device?
It was not. Yeah. We actually had a couple other names as well that we were thinking about. They were very low, very different from where we are at right now, much longer as well. So we thought QB was kind of short, sweet, easy to remember, and really kind of took that playful spin at the word cubicle as well. With QB, we've really created time for you because you are anyways constantly sitting behind your desk for 8 hours in a day. What we've done is we've kind of created a very low impact exercise machine that lets you keep moving throughout the day. Now, what's really unique about it compared to other products that are out there, the motion of the device, the leg motion, we've optimized it so that it's extremely smooth and easy for a customer to use. You know, your knees don't end up hitting against the desk, which was extremely important for us because you don't want to be distracted when you're working. The other thing was making sure that the device was extremely quiet so that your coworkers don't get distracted when you're using the product. And lastly, and most importantly, adding this software element to the product where you could easily keep track of your exercise, of the amount of calories you've burnt, and see how you've done relative to other people in the community, because it creates this sense of competition, this sense of motivation, you know, the sense of belonging that you're a part of something bigger. And that motivates people to keep going day after day after day. So I think that's why, although there have been other products out there that have kind of tried to do something similar, we've really taken a plunge and kind of, you know, taken this way beyond anything that's been done conventionally by focusing on smoothness, by focusing on design, by focusing on quietness, and most importantly, the tech aspect. So it's, you know, it's not just about the product, it's about the whole experience. And that is, if I were a consumer of a product, I was thinking, okay, what kind of an experience would I want with this as I associate with this brand and this company? So, you know, for us, it goes right to the point of packaging as well. You know, the way the product is packaged, it's extremely simple for you to take out and you can finish assembling the device in under 5 minutes. Whereas with most traditional fitness equipment, when you think about it, you're like, oh my God, I have to open the box. It's going to take about 30 minutes for me to assemble. We designed it in a way so that it takes you less than 5 minutes, provided you with all the tools that you needed to put it together, not a cheap screwdriver, like a real proper screwdriver that you can store. So, you know, all of these small things kind of add up. For me personally, when I think about design thinking, I just immerse myself in the customer's mind and think about it. If I were in their shoes, what would an ideal experience mean for me?
PrintPack, converting vision into value. At PrintPack, we believe in creating packaging solutions that deliver positive results for your brands. Collaboration at the very beginning of a new product or package design venture is the key to success. Our innovation approach combines your vision with our knowledge of consumer trends to create packaging that enhances your brand and drives your success.
So, obviously, although you want to change the world and be able to make it a healthier place, you have to start somewhere. You can't just start with everyone at one time. Tell me a little bit about who your target market is and how you're addressing and marketing to them.
Sure. So you're absolutely right. I think one thing we were lucky about was that QB had a lot of different applications with a lot of different groups. So we really did have to do that exercise, and we had to figure out who do we go after first. And as we were thinking about it, you know, one important aspect about this product is that it's not just another fitness product. You know, you're using it while you're sitting, and we realized that there's a lot of education that we need to do around this concept of active sitting, around this concept of constant motion throughout the day, in addition to whatever else you might be doing in your life. So we decided to go initially after people who have been working for a long time. So, you know, their mid-30s going up to their 50s probably, been working for a couple of years to realize the pain points of and the effect that it has on their body. They're busy, they have families, they have other life commitments, they don't have much time, and they really value, you know, the value proposition of constant motion. They get it. So we have to really do a little less work in educating them on why this is useful for them. So that's the audience that's, you know, reacting, or, you know, really the majority of our audience right now. Other than that, though, I would say, there are so many other applications, and we are now looking at even the senior market. There are a lot of people who are actually buying it and using it at home for, or giving it to their parents or grandparents who are using it while they knit or watch TV or read, just for some low impact exercise because they have knee surgeries or they have back issues. So it gives them kind of an easy way to exercise. So I would say that is a market we have yet to explore. We are seeing some reactions from there. So that's probably something we're going to look next year. And then in addition to that, I think there have been some surprises also. We've seen, recently schools have started buying it for kids because children are increasingly sitting. They're not really moving much, and they're having a really hard time even focusing. So it helps kids just be more attentive and keep moving while they're sitting in the lectures in schools. So I think there's a lot of potential, but we've started by just targeting people in the workplace who've been at it, who realize the pain points.
Yeah, definitely. When I think of the QB and the low impact exercise, it is often not a workout for me.
Yeah.
I think of it as just trying to keep motion going. And middle age and older, we're thinking about things like stroke and whether or not we are having blood pooling in our veins, and how do we keep movement going on. And so this is definitely seems like a natural market for that.
It's been surprising though. I mean, I think we've also heard these stories of people who literally just by adding QB to their routine, they've lost like 20 pounds in 3 months as well. So they really use it as something to even lose weight with. They of course eat healthy in addition to that, but that said, they say this really helps them achieve those goals, which has been really exciting to see.
And so when we talk about bringing it into the workplace, when we talk about someone who's middle age, I often think about the fact that that person might be a little bit more senior in their career.
Yeah.
I think you as a C-suite are the exception to the rule. So when these senior folks are able to get a device in with fewer permissions from human resources, because if we want a treadmill desk, we often can get that because we are able to make the case for it because we're a little bit higher up in the organization. But you've even considered that and what human resources and the corporate environment when you did the product design.
Absolutely. So I think a couple of things we had to keep in mind. Firstly was purely the cost of the product, making it such that an individual could purchase it by themselves without, any support from the company. Most companies do help their employees if they're interested in buying a product like this, but still, we wanted to keep the price low enough so that people could buy it on their own without getting kind of reimbursement or something from the company. So that was an important decision factor. The second thing was just the ease and portability of implementing the device, making it such that it is something you can easily slide onto your desk. If let's say you decide for whatever reason that this is not something for you, you can easily kind of slide it back out and it doesn't interrupt your entire work setting. As opposed to a standing desk or a treadmill desk where, if you decide to change your desk and setup, it's not really easy to go back to your original setup. So we made it very easy even for HR, to test out with their employees that, everything else remains the same. Your desk, your chair, it remains the same. Slide in the product, use it under your desk, see how you like it. If it doesn't work for you, we completely understand and you can easily slide it back out. So I think that's been the second more important factor. And the last one is just the ability to really track how you're performing. And this is something that HR cares a lot about, that, is this something that is just lying over there or are you actually, using it? And because at the end of the day, most companies want to look at their return on investment. They want to see if, we've invested in these devices. Are our employees actually being healthier? Are they actually losing weight? Are they burning calories? So I think the ability to just track at an organization level that, okay, I've invested a certain amount of dollars in these products and this is the return I'm getting: healthier employees, fewer sick days, kind of more happy, more productive employees. it matters a lot. So really making it even easy for the corporation, the HR person, to implement this.
And I think that's so smart. Really, your economist cap is really showing here, because the fact that you were thinking about ROI from a human resources standpoint. Often we think about human resources, we think about challenges and how do we get them to, how do we sway them emotionally. But you're suggesting that, give them the data, give them the data to help out. And I imagine human resources and companies are also probably looking at healthcare costs.
Correct. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, and being able to track, again, being able to track steps is something that they're probably encouraging, a lot of them are encouraging their employees to do. And instead of giving them just a Fitbit
Right.
and saying, you figure out when to get those steps,
Right.
here's how we can get the motion in there.
In fact, a lot of companies that have competitions, they have these Fitbit competitions now. And we've had some customers who bought QB as their secret device that helps them win these competitions, that sitting at your desk, continuing with your regular work, you're still able to get those credits for these competitions. So, it's like their secret weapon that's underneath their desk.
I like that. I like the idea of being able to arm everyone with a secret weapon. It's a great idea. It's a great idea. But speaking of companies, you guys are no longer a startup. So what has changed? How are you going about creating a innovative, inspiring environment for your company and growing your company and team?
Sure. I think firstly and most importantly, giving everyone freedom of expression, really hearing them out, hearing what other people have to say. Because sometimes as the C-suite, you are so kind of ingrained and focused on what you're doing that it becomes difficult to look at the business from a high level. So every quarter we organize these offsites where we go to a completely different location, and with a lot of alcohol on the table, we brainstorm about different ideas, different concepts. Look at the market, look at the industry, look at the trends, see where it's going, see what our customers want, and really brainstorm. And then, once we come back to the office, then put that plan into execution. So I think really the key over here for us has been creating a sense of openness where we mutually respect each other's ideas, where people feel that they're in a safe zone, and hearing everyone out respectfully, and then it just kind of gives birth to new ideas, and that's how we kind of keep our innovation constantly going.
Yeah. I mean, another thing that's been a big focus for us, I think, has just been ownership. So with each of our team members, we are still an intimate team. It's not like we like to have that hierarchy where they have to go through different steps. We have that freedom where if we've decided to do a project, we give it to one team member, and then it's their responsibility to see it through from start to finish. Everybody else around is there to help, but it's for them to own and for them to see it through. So I think that really helps in everybody being attached to the mission and to the company when they feel that what they're doing is, they can see the real impact of it, and they really truly own each of their own projects.
I think at the end of the day, be it an outside partner or be it an employee, what is most important is really tying everyone together and bringing them on the same page about the company's mission and what we're trying to do. And I think we've alluded to this a couple of times, but really what inspires all of us the most is this kind of real health impact that we're creating, and it's not something that is blurry. It's something very evident that we can see in front of our eyes. So be it our employees, be it our external partners who we work with, the mission is very clear that we are helping people create time. We are giving them a way to exercise in a busy day where they would have probably missed their exercise, and it's eventually impacting their long-term health. So I think that mission needs to be revisited very often with your employees, with your partners, to kind of bring them in the same page that, guys, we are going to have day-to-day struggles, but keep in mind the bigger challenge, keep in mind the bigger issue that we're trying to address. And that really keeps everyone on the same page. And even if there might be certain disagreements within the team, it's a very simple litmus test when you're trying to make a decision. Kind of weight against the bigger goal of the company. If it aligns, then we should absolutely go for it. If it does not align, then it probably takes a back seat. So that's really helped keep everyone on the same page.
Being a tech company, I imagine that you use technology to really help that collaboration as well. What are some of the technologies that you're using to be able to elevate the conversation to increase collaboration?
So we try to keep it very simple, to be honest, because we're a believer in, at the end of the day, as we've alluded to, responsibility and ownership. So once a project has been assigned to you, we expect the owner of the project to follow through. That said, a couple of technologies we found extremely helpful. We use Slack on a constant basis to communicate within the team as well as externally. Then we use a software called Basecamp to help us manage our projects better. Then we use a software called Box that helps us put all our files together in the cloud. So even if it is a remote team in India or China that's working on a project, they have access to the cloud where they store the files, and I have access to it almost instantaneously. So I'd say these are probably the three core technologies that we use as a team to kind of collaborate. But other than that, we do focus a lot on speaking to one another, having weekly phone calls, maybe even trying to meet them once in 2 months. So really there is that kind of FaceTime and personal interaction with the team.
I know for the team, part of brand experience is making sure that the customers are having a wonderful experience with their product. Could you tell me a little bit about the quality control that goes into your product design and execution?
So we really take pride in ensuring that our customers get the best of quality. And what we had realized, producing over 10,000 QBs till date, is that quality doesn't happen naturally. It's really a product of active effort, and we made sure that for every production run, right from the start, we go to China, or one of us, either Arnav or me or one of our partners in Hong Kong would go to China to oversee the production process. And there's a lot of sweat and blood. In one of my previous production runs, I had gone to China, literally sat at the end of the assembly line, checking each unit for noise issues, for cosmetic quality, and making sure that everything looks fine before the product is being boxed. And that has lent itself to our success till date.
What media are you using to send out your marketing message, and how has that changed as your company's grown?
Sure. So until now, when we had just launched the product at that time, because it was a new product, a lot of our exposure, it was actually coming from press coverage that we'd received. So we were covered by a lot of different outlets, from big to small blogs reviewing the product, because it was something so new as a concept that everybody kind of wanted to read up about it, and that's how people are finding out about it. But of course, that can only sustain for so long, because it can't kind of consistently keep going after some time. So after that, we shifted our focus onto Facebook and just social paid media in general. So that's kind of been the primary channel since then, of just pushing more and more brand awareness, but more so education around it. So our marketing strategy is very focused around content. So it's not just saying, here's a cool product, why don't you go and buy it? It's really sharing the stories of our customers. And our customers have been great in actually providing us some of these in-depth stories and videos and pictures, and really just sharing them with others so that they can hear it directly from them and not from us, because they are the real guys who are using the product. product. So that's really been our marketing strategy so far. Other than that, I mean, because we are such a design-focused company, I think a lot of different design publications and design blogs, I mean, they've started to share the product with their audiences through emails, through their newsletters and their events, and so on and so forth. So that's definitely been very interesting. A lot of organizations, that focus on home therapies and office furniture and stuff like that. So that's been great. We're also very recently launched on a store called Beta. It's kind of like a recent concept where they really feature young companies and their products, and mostly tech products, within a physical location. And they have stores around the US in Santa Monica, Austin. They're launching one in San Francisco. So we just launched with 2 of their stores, because with QB, something we realized was that just reaching out to our customers online, it wasn't giving us an opportunity to have them try the unit. It is an experiential product. It is something that once you demo it, once you use it, there's that aha moment, and you're just like, oh yeah, now I get it. So that was the missing piece. So which is why we recently launched in those stores, to really give potential people, potential users, the opportunity to give it a spin and see it for themselves. So we are hoping to now have more of these pop-ups in stores, just to kind of increase our physical presence as well. And going forward, we want to actually launch a lot of other marketing channels, including television shopping and actual physical retail as well.
Wonderful. And you mentioned television shopping. So what is next for FitnessCubed? Is there more? Are we going to see more QBs, more devices? What do you guys have up your sleeve?
So we're going to introduce this wood crane unit, which is going to be special. It's called QB Moku, which Moku means wood in Japanese. So that is going to be pretty interesting. And I think overall, as a company, we see ourselves as an entity that wants to help you be more active in the workplace. So it definitely does not end with QB. I think QB is just the starting point. We're starting to look at more solutions that can help you engage other parts of your body, other muscles of your body while you're seated. So to give you an example, when you're sitting for extended periods of time, you're not focusing on your core muscles as much, and you're not exercising your core muscles. So we're working on a product that can help you engage your core muscles. So in addition to getting a cardiovascular exercise, you're also working on your core muscles, which is often one of the most neglected parts of the body.